Hi kids, welcome to the second video for the lesson The Nervous System. Let's quickly revise what we have learned in the first video and then learn some new concepts in this new video. So in the part 1 video you have learned about the structure of the neuron or the nerve cells. You learned that neurons are the structural and functional units of the nervous system. They have a cell body and several extensions around them. The shorter extensions are called the dendrites and the long extension is called the axon. Now when a message is being transmitted through a neuron, the message is always received through the dendrites and passed out through the axon. That is, the transmission of messages through a neuron is always happening in a single direction. You also learned about the parts of the nervous system, which are the brain, the spinal cord and nerves. Now let's see what we're going to learn in this video. So in this video you will learn about the different parts of the brain, which is a part of the nervous system, and the functions of the brain. And you'll also learn about the function of the spinal cord, about the types of nerves and their functions, and we will learn about reflex action. What reflex actions are, the parts or the components of the pathway of a reflex action will also be covered in this video. The human brain consists of three distinctive parts. The largest part is called as the cerebrum. The smaller part is called as the cerebellum, and the medulla or the brainstem is the smallest part of the brain. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and it is well developed in humans. Its surface consists of many grooves and folds that greatly increase its surface area and allow it to fit within the cranium of the skull. As you've already learned, the skull protects the brain. There is a deep groove in the middle which divides the cerebrum into two equal halves. Each equal half is called as a hemisphere. Therefore, the brain has a right hemisphere as well as a left hemisphere. The right and the left hemispheres of the brain are believed to be dominant for different functions. The right brain is thought to be responsible for music, a sense of colors, emotion, creativity, and the left brain is thought to be responsible for mathematical ability, logical ability, and a sense of rules and the speech of an individual. Also, doctors have observed that when a person injures the right brain due to an accident or health condition, the muscles on the left side of the person is affected and vice versa. From this it is understood that the left hemisphere of the brain controls the right side of the body, while the right hemisphere of the brain controls the left side of the body. Now let us learn about the cerebellum. The cerebellum in Latin means little brain. It is an area at the bottom of the brain behind the brainstem or the medulla. It is responsible for the control and coordination of voluntary movements and voluntary muscles. It also coordinates eye movements and helps you take part in activities such as riding a bicycle, dancing, various sports which require balance and precision, as well as learning new things like playing a musical instrument. It is also responsible for maintenance of posture as well as muscle tone. Now what is muscle tone? Muscle tone is the unconscious low level contraction of your muscles while they are at rest. So it is that firmness of your muscles while in a completely relaxed state. Your muscle tone prepares you for action and it maintains your balance and posture. So that is, it does not allow your muscles to become limp and without any definite structure. It generates the heat that keeps your muscles healthy and also allows for quick and unconscious reaction, that is a reflex reaction to any sudden changes. we will be learning more about reflex reactions in this video. The medulla or the brainstem is a smaller section of the brain, but it can well be considered as the most important part of the brain. This is because medulla not only helps transfer messages to and from the spinal cord and the brain, that is, it connects the spinal cord to the brain, but it is also responsible for regulating life-sustaining involuntary functions. For example, functions such as breathing, heartbeat, the blood vessel function, the digestion, sneezing, swallowing, all of these functions which are vital for our survival but are under involuntary control are regulated by the medulla. So the medulla is therefore considered as the center for respiration as well as circulation. Let's quickly recap the structure of the brain and the functions of the parts of the brain. The cerebrum is responsible for learning, intelligence, memory, reasoning, and sensory processing. The cerebellum, which is behind the brainstem, is responsible for control and coordination of voluntary muscles. The brainstem or the medulla is responsible for the control of involuntary life processes. Now let us learn about the spinal cord. It is really a bundle of nerves which carry the incoming and outgoing messages between the brain and the rest of the body. It is a long and delicate tube-like structure that begins at the brainstem and extends till the bottom of the spine. The spinal cord is considered as the center for reflexes, and we will see why it is considered as a center for reflexes later on in this video. You have already learned that the spinal cord, which is a very fragile structure, is protected by a part of the skeletal system which is known as the vertebral column or the backbone or the spine. The third component of the nervous system is nerves. In the last video, we have already seen what is meant by the term nerves. Nerves are a collection of neurons, and neurons are the individual nerve cells. A nerve is a cable-like bundle of axons which are individually referred to as nerve fibers. Now recollect that a nerve can transmit the message only in one direction. Therefore, we have basically two types of nerves depending on the direction in which they are aligned and the message is transmitted. Let us consider the sensory nerves. These carry messages from the 5 sense organs through the spinal cord to specific parts of the cerebrum of our brain. Now remember our sense organs: the eyes, the ears, skin, nose, and tongue. These perform the function of eyesight, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling, and help in understanding our environment. The motor nerves carry messages from the specific parts of the brain which responds to sensory information to the voluntary muscles of our body. These nerves pass through the spinal cord and they are responsible for any physical activity that we do. The third type of nerves, called the mixed nerves, are also known as spinal nerves. The mixed nerves or spinal nerves are found close to the spinal cord, and they are made up of both sensory nerve fibers as well as motor nerve fibers. Now we shall learn more about mixed nerves in the next few slides, where we will learn about the reflex actions. Now what is a reflex action? Suppose your hand accidentally touches a hot vessel. What happens next? Before you know it, you withdraw your hand and protect it from further damage. Such fast and automatic actions are called reflex actions. When the nervous system responds to such situations, the messages to be sent through the motor nerves are generated at the spinal cord itself so as to make the reaction as fast as possible. As you may realize, this gives the advantage of protection in dangerous situations where time is important. Reflex actions are possible because of mixed nerves or spinal nerves. Now I hope you are able to understand why the spinal cord is called as the center for reflexes. So reflex actions are fast and automatic actions. Examples of reflex actions are the sudden jerky withdrawal of hand or leg when pricked by a pin. And as we have already seen, these are controlled by the spinal cord. Reflex actions follow a certain pathway called as the reflex pathway, and the reflex action pathway have certain components or parts about which we were going to learn next. Now let us see what a stimulus is. A stimulus is a change in the environment that can be detected by a sense organ. So stimulus brings about a response. For examples of different stimuli are chemicals in the hair, cold, heat, pain, and sound. These are all examples of stimuli. The reaction of the body to a stimulus is called response. For example, withdrawal of the leg when you step on a sharp object, and moving your hand away when you touch something hot. So detection of a stimulus requires a receptor organ, a sense organ or a receptor organ. And which would be the largest receptor organ? The largest sense organ, which is nothing but the skin. So the skin has different types of nerve endings which are stimulated by stimuli such as heat, cold, and pain. Hence, the skin is an example of a receptor organ. An effector organ is an organ which can be activated by nerve impulses such as your muscles and glands in your body which produce secretions. For example, when you smell delicious food, the receptor organ, that is your nose, tells the brain that yes, there is some food available, and the brain will activate the salivary glands in your mouth through motor nerve endings which run from the brain to the salivary glands, and the salivary glands will produce saliva in the mouth. Hence, the salivary glands will act as the effector organs here. So the receptor organ and the effector organ can change according to the stimulus as well as the response. Now let us learn about what the sensory nerve is. As we have already seen, the sensory nerve as well as the motor nerve are nerves which are bundles of axon fibers which carry messages in a particular direction. Sensory nerves carry messages from the sense organs to the brain, and motor nerves carry messages from the brain to the effector organs or the muscles. Now let us examine the pathway of a reflex action. The stimulus here is a pin pricking the skin. The sensory neuron carries the message to the spinal cord, and at the spinal cord an appropriate response is generated and passed on to the motor neuron through another neuron called as the interneuron. The motor neuron carries the motor messages to the effector organ. Do note that the messages are also carried to the brain by other neurons for other responses such as removing the pin from the skin or for attending to the wound. It is the brain which is going to tell you what to do next. But the primary motor response is generated at the spinal cord so as to make the response immediate and quick and reduce the damage which can be caused. Now it's recap time. Which part consists of nerves that carry incoming and outgoing messages from between the brain and the rest of the body? The spinal cord. Nerves are a collection of neurons. A nerve which carries messages from the sense organs to the brain is called as a sensory nerve. A nerve which carries messages from the brain to muscles and glands is called as a motor nerve. Mixed nerves are also called spinal nerves. Spinal cord is also called the center for reflexes. Now let's label the parts of the reflex pathway. The heat, the pain caused due to the heat from the candle is a stimulus. Then comes a single nerve cell or neuron which passes the information from the receptors in the skin to the spinal cord, and this is the sensory neuron. There is an interneuron in the spinal cord which will now initiate a response to this stimulus. Then comes another neuron which takes the message from the spinal cord to the effector organ, and that is the motor neuron. And the effector organ over here is nothing but the muscle of the hand, which quickly contracts in response and helps you to move your hand away from the candle. And what is the response? The response is the contraction of the muscle and withdrawal of the hand. So I hope this video has been useful to you. Keep thinking and keep learning. I will see you soon again. Bye bye.